Good morning. Look at
Good
us.
morning. Look at us.
Who'd have thought it?
Not me.
I think we definitely thought it very adamantly in the beginning. And then there was that little patch in the middle of the year that was
Yes.
less than comfortable. And then the year of 2026 has been pretty good to us.
Yeah, it has. It really has.
But I'm really excited that we got a chance to chat today on the actual official 1 year birthday of Stratavis.
It is
Like
crazy. How has it been a year? It has
I,
not been a year. It doesn't feel like
I,
it.
it feels like 5 minutes and 500 years at the same time. Like I don't
Mm.
remember doing anything else. Like I know I did, but like my routine now of chaos is just so ingrained into my life that I can't imagine doing anything else.
It does feel like a long time ago that I was in a completely different environment, working in corporate. It just feels like a lifetime ago, actually.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So let's start by doing a little brain warming up exercise, and let's each pick like 3 years, 3 words that would describe this last year. And
Mm.
seeing as it was my suggestion, I'll start us off.
Okay,
I would
sounds good.
go for challenging,
Hmm.
creative, and defining.
Ooh, say more about defining.
Um, I think it's really tough when you're in corporate and you've been told how special you are because you start to believe it. And it's not true. Sorry, guys. Um, but I think so much of my identity was tied up into job title, compensation package, um, just the prestige, I guess, of like being an executive in a corporation that had all the bells and whistles. And when you take all of that away, you have to really figure out, okay, who am I without those things? And how do I celebrate success that looks so different? And how do I feel good about what I'm doing when the rewards are so different? And I feel like I'm so much more balanced now
Mm.
than I was before. Work is still and will always be incredibly important to me. Doing a good job is incredibly important to me. Um, Fixing problems is important to me. But my title, it's kind of irrelevant. And the money in the bank, I mean, that's an interesting concept because sometimes $20,000 seems like no money at all, and $500 feels like a lottery win. So money's value is completely changed.
Yeah, yeah, I
How
feel
about
that
you?
for sure. My 3 words, hard.
Mm.
I think we've had, some moments early on where I've got sort of a toxic tendency to say, how hard could it be? And the answer is hard. A lot of the time, it's hard. And um, yeah, I think to dovetail off of what you just shared around defining, I'd say identity. My identity has changed so much in the space of a year. It's no longer about my title or how many people I have on my team or whatever, right? It's about other things. And then I would say peace, because there's a peace that you have when you're really working for yourself that is unattainable, in my opinion, when you're working inside of just one company. And I think it has a lot to do with when you're in tough moments or tough situations that are made harder by people that you're dealing with who sometimes can be really frustrating or unfair. In a corporate context where you're working for those people, you feel trapped
Yeah.
because you can't just leave, right? Like it takes quite a bit to walk away from a situation, and you feel like you cannot, you don't have the option to step away, even if it's no longer the right thing for you. And I think in this context, we always have that option. It doesn't mean that we do. I mean, we rarely, I don't even know that we ever actually have, but um, the having the option in front of you, I think, makes that partnership so much healthier and stronger. And for me, brings me a lot of mental and emotional peace.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm completely with you. And I've walked away from agreements. I've walked
That's true.
away. I've walked away from clients, not because, it's personally um anything that was a huge obstacle. It was just more working styles were not in line with my preference, and I don't want to do I don't want to do a job that I wouldn't be proud of. And so, if there's a need or a want that I just don't think I'm the right fit for, I'm gonna say. And I'll walk away to protect to protect my peace and not just set myself up for um painful situations down the line. Um that being said, it doesn't happen very often, because the whole point of being this company that we created was that we wanted to go in and fix hard problems.
Mm.
But people being really passionate about doing the right thing by people and understanding that business success and um, great people policy isn't like mutually exclusive. We can do both.
Yeah, no, totally. I think I had in my mind like a big breakup, and we really haven't had that, but I think that we've
Yeah,
gotten really good at spotting it early,
yeah,
usually at contract negotiation, or even a step before, as we're doing discovery, to say this is not the right situation for us to help with. Here's what we could do for you. And
yeah,
a bunch of times I know we've either like given tips and tricks or made introductions elsewhere, and then if not that, like calling it early to say if the following things are not true, then it's not the right time to work together. And not to say we wouldn't revisit in the future, right? But like, just being really open and honest about that, I think, is protects the
yeah,
peace.
yeah. I love that too, and that that's for a different reason, but definitely protects the peace of like we're not going to commit to something that we don't think is achievable. Um, and not that it's we're uber negative about something, but like if there's a complex search, like you definitely that has some pretty stringent criteria, you've definitely gone out there and gone and worked for free to help that person to get into a better situation, but yeah, wouldn't charge for it because there's too many contingencies
Mm,
that would go against it, and it just doesn't feel good to take somebody's money if you know that this is going to be a tricky execution piece. So I love your approach of let me help you as much as I can with the resources and experience that I have, um, but we're not going to get into a contract because this is too risky for them.
yeah, yeah, totally.
Which I love. So it's been a minute since we did that very high quality podcast of like getting our first one. I think it was like our first one back when it
Mm.
was called Honest HR.
Oof.
Um, oof. Um, which we later found out is also the name of someone else's, right? Is it Sherm?
I think it is. Yeah.
Like, oh.
Should have done that research up front, probably.
We were so new to podcasting. We still
Yeah.
are, but like with 35 episodes under our belt, it's pretty good. And um, pretty decent following and high streaming volumes each week. So it's been exciting to see that grow. But just for folks who are getting to know us more recently, maybe it would be cool if we share a little bit about where we actually were personally and professionally when we started this a year ago.
Mm. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Oh, I don't like to go back to that time because it was really tough.
Yeah.
For me, I built my whole career around in-house corporate talent acquisition leadership in some great companies, tech and fintech companies. And I had made a decision for my family that we had decided to move from Texas to North Carolina, and initially had thought about continuing down the path I was on and make that move. And then my company did a return to office. And so I had this inflection point of, do I sort of pump the brakes on my, personal goals and plans that are important to me and my family in order to stay there? Or do I take the leap and do something else? And the job market, talent market at that time for recruiting leaders was just awful. I had some conversations, and everything that I encountered was overscoped, underpaid, and generally uninteresting. I'd get into these conversations and I'm walking away thinking, this company is a house of cards, and all I'm going to do is come in and help you lay off your recruiting team. And then you're going to lay me off next. And it just, um, to say the least, wasn't inspiring. And sort of in the middle of all of this reflection and discovery, you called me and said, would it be crazy to start our own thing? And we had talked to, like, just a bit about that in the past. We've always kept in touch for years since we worked together forever ago. And I,
At
I think I
America's
told you
favorite credit bureau.
at America's Favorite Credit Bureau, yes. And I think I told you, yeah, you would be crazy to do that. And then you kind of walked away and said, well, I'm going to go do it anyway, but I want you to come with. And so it was always in the back of my mind as you started to kind of gear up. And I watched you kick off the company, start to build it for real. I could feel the energy and the passion from you through the phone when we talked. And I remember sending you a text and just saying, okay, I'm coming with, I'm coming too. And I think within an hour and a half, like, you'd set me up with a Strativus email on Google Drive, and I had all sorts of like access requests coming my way. And I remember just kind of this jolt of like, oh my gosh, this is real. I better get my seatbelt on. And the rest is
I
history.
I remember it so clearly. You actually were going to take a couple of days to think about it. And I had texted you just another little like wrap up text because I was like sat there with my fingers crossed, just like, please do this with me. It'll be so much more fun. And we'll be so much more successful because you're so smart. Um, and then you text me back almost immediately and was like, yeah, I don't need a few days. I'm going to do it.
I'm decisive to a fault. And, but I think what was happening in my mind at the time is there's one thing that you've told me before, and can't even remember in what context, but you told me you just don't do things by halves. And it's true. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm 100% in, and I'll see it through until the end, until I get there, or there's nothing else left. And so I wasn't going to be halfway committed. I was either going to be all in or all out.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you were all in,
Yeah,
because
me too.
it was a rough couple of weeks back there that I was solo, like it was actually it was just filled with endless paperwork and forms
Mm,
and engagements of accountants and lawyers and all that kind of stuff to kind of figure out what I needed to set up to make it legit. Because yeah, I've seen a few people go into consulting as like a backup, but creating Stratavis was never just going to be my like backup gig until I go back to corporate. Like I wanted to create a company
mhm.
that had all the values and modeled like good leadership and good behavior that that are really important to me. Because, like you, I was thrown a curveball from my employer. I'd been at Glassdoor for 5 years and worked my way up to senior director of people. And when they merged with Indeed, it was like a jolt to think through, like, okay, what do you want to do now? Because I probably would have stayed there forever. I could do the job with my eyes closed. I loved everybody that I worked with. There were still, occasional interesting challenges that popped up. Um, but if I'm honest with myself, we hadn't been in any serious amount of growth for years, maybe 2, 3 years at that point. And so the business challenges that I was used to facing just weren't there anymore. So I started, poking my nose in other things. But I didn't really get the chance to be as creative as I would have liked. So that also rolled into my decision of wanting to start a business, is that I feel like I have um, some untapped genius when it comes to design.
Designs. You are a design genius. I
I
have to
mean,
give that to you,
like,
but you still need
no,
to give
it's
it up
not
at
true.
some point.
And it's not even true. Like, I just enjoy doing it. I enjoy writing, I enjoy thinking, I enjoy researching like our industry. And so it's a long way of saying that, after the layoffs came through, I, like you, looked at the job market and thought, I don't want to do that. I already had like a great corporate job. It's going to be really tough to like match that somewhere else. The people I met with seemed frazzled. Like every single person I interviewed with, and this is an interview. So, like, this is them on their best hour, and they seemed absolutely frazzled. And I was just like, oof. I mean, literally in one of my interviews, the person stopped and was like, we have to terminate one of the C-level people in like an hour. So I'm just so distracted. And I was like,
Yeah. Wow.
what can I do to help you with that in this instance? Should we talk later? Needless to say, I withdrew my interest in that particular opportunity.
Yeah.
But yes,
Nice.
I wanted to set up my own business. I wanted it to be a company, not just a um you know, I'm going to consult until I find something. And I didn't even really like the term consultancy, even though it was part of the name. Um, I mean, it's a nomenclature that everybody's familiar with, but to me, consultants had just been such a drain, like in the past, like when we brought them in, that I didn't even really want to be associated like with that brand. I think that's why I've like moved us over to being operators like in the recent months, because that's more reflective of what we do. Like consultants are, advisors and deck builders, and what that's not what we do. We go in and do the job. Um so yeah, again, long way of saying got laid off, set up a company. Personally, things were great. Like, I had only been married a couple of years. Um, we had just come off the back of, some good travel. Um, I think I felt like ready, and it was actually because my mum and her friend, who also owns a business, Gail, who's been on our podcast, were visiting from London, and uh, they just had so much positivity around it. And I'd seen Gail be so successful that I was like, I'm all in, just like you, all in.
And it's so important to have people we trust in our corner who are nudging us along and encouraging us
Yeah.
along the way. I think that, especially in the beginning, I felt like we were trying to squeeze water out of a rock. It's like, it's when you are starting from nothing, you have very little to lean on outside of your own personal previous reputation within companies. But I remember being on early calls and having, now clients say to me, you've been around for what, a couple of months? I have no idea. I have no idea whether I can trust you. And so building that early trust was really hard, and even just convincing people to give us a chance. And so for every yes or maybe I'll give you a chance that we got, I mean, there were a handful of no's or just left on reds.
Mm.
Tons. Can't even tell you how many thousands of those
Yeah.
I have.
By
But
surprising people too, people that I thought I would hear back from, and I was just like,
yeah,
wow, I just got big timed. But like that's life. And I
yeah,
I don't think our skin could get much thicker at this point, to be honest. It's just like
yeah.
we were
And
pretty tough before. So now we're just like,
I remind myself too, when people big time the hell out of you, like, is it sometimes because they're an asshole? Sure. But sometimes it's just because they've got so much stuff on their plate that they just can't take on anymore. Even something as small as a response. And I've been there. Like, I remember being pregnant with my second daughter, Violet, and like towards the very end, and you're exhausted and just everything seems like the weight of the world, and having a good friend at the time reach out early in a job search in a terrible market asking for help, and I left him on red, and I felt terrible about it, and called him back a few months later when I'd cleared my head and gotten over through that kind of early postpartum experience, if you will, um, and apologized, and we had a good conversation. But I think about that a lot when people leave me on red. It's like, maybe there's something going on like
yeah,
that. I just can't do it.
I do too. I think it's a lot better to approach life with the mindset that everybody has good intentions. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just, it's easier that way, for sure. So now that we're a year in, does Stratavis look and feel like you imagined it would do when we started a year ago?
I don't even know what I imagined, to be honest. Honestly, it felt very much to me like jumping into a void because I just didn't know what to expect. Is it what I would have hoped for? 100%. I can't even believe the brand that we've built, the connections and network expansion that we've been able to develop, even the growth of the team with the most incredible people that I can imagine. It's wild. No, I guess then the answer is no. I don't think I really imagined us looking like this.
Yeah, I think my answer would be exactly the same. Did not know what to expect, did not know what each week, month was going to look like. But yeah, I'm thrilled with where we're at today. It's just really rewarding to sit there and do like payroll or sit there and look at like our client interactions. Like obviously at the end of the month I have to reconcile all the books, so yesterday I sit down and see kind of our transactions for the month, and I'm just like, wow, there's the water, it's finally coming out of the stone. When do
Yeah,
you think it really started to feel like it was a real business?
immediately.
I know.
Immediately. Because I remember actually at first as we thought about kind of the two arms of the business, fractional arm and then more traditional executive staffing side. Um, Initially, maybe this is even before I agreed to join you and come on, but you were like, yeah, you could just do some consulting work under the Stratavis umbrella. And I've never done that before, and I just don't know how to do it. What I know how to do is build companies. I've done it my entire career for other people.
Yeah,
And I think I quickly realized, like, maybe on day one, that like that's all we were going to do. We were just going to do it for ourselves. And so I elbowed my way into everything, whether I was invited or not, and like just sort of fell into this aggressive rhythm of like, let's go get it done. Let's
yeah,
build this thing.
yeah. I feel the same way too. I never again, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I never just wanted to be, that little standalone. I don't want to say like dusty consultant that just comes in and is like, you know, I can help you with your HR, honey, type of thing. Like I did not want to be that person ever.
I
Like
remember when you were bouncing names off of me for the firm. This is like before I'd even, we'd had that conversation about me joining. And
yeah,
I remember just saying to you, any of these options is better than AC Consulting. Just please, God, don't make it Amy Crook Consulting.
no, no, it was not even an option. It was not even an option. Terrible, terrible. Um, yeah, I couldn't even the day that I started to do it. So, Mum, Gail, gone home. I'm like, right, okay, this is it. I'm gonna withdraw my interest on the jobs that I am in process on. I'm gonna buy the domain. I'm gonna do the website. I'm gonna set up the LLC. I need Google Workspace. I can't function. You know me, I gotta have a good doc for everything. So
Yes.
like I couldn't think without like having my Google Workspace set up. So then I start to think about like other things that I just need to have from like a infrastructure perspective to be successful. And none of those things were designed around like, okay, this is a short-term set temporary, or like I can get by with this. Like we don't need a CRM. Let's just use Excel. No, we got or Sheets even because we're a Google environment. Um, but no, I needed everything to feel this. I say this all the time and it's not very good, but I needed it to feel correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I have definitely stolen that from Schitt's Creek, but like some things just are not correct, and I could not have that. I needed it to feel real, and when clients interacted with us from day one, I wanted it to feel professional and um, buttoned up. I didn't want it to feel janky.
Yeah. 100%.
So, um,
Should
thinking
we
about, oh, go on.
I know I said, should we dig into the moments behind the highlight reel? I feel like this is the part that people don't get to see,
Yeah.
right? Like we're one thing we do incredibly well, I think, is our social brand presence, and everyone gets to see the celebrations, whether
Yeah.
it's like a milestone or even our birthdays. Like you're always doing it up. I can count on you for a glittery birthday balloon asset to be shared
I
on
did.
my birthday,
I'm very proud.
which I
So
love.
I was looking at all the birthday ones, and these are the only ones where I will throw caution to the wind on our regular kind of brand guidelines, because I want to make them look and feel like the person. And I was like
Yes.
looking back on the ones that I've made, and I was like, these just fit like yours, simple, classy, obviously put a crown on your head. Um, Loved it. Jenna's with the very glamorous, like black and gold
Yes.
theme and the fireworks. Jenna is just our glamorous, well put together, just sharp as a tack person. And I feel like that
Mm,
like fits her. And then we had Nicole's, and hers was all kind of just sweet and light and delicate, a little bit artsy, because that's who she
yes.
is as a person. And then of course for Billy, it's a pink love fest you
Yes.
know
Yes.
so I think it's important, because the people behind the work is what makes the work good. So I love celebrating those moments in life, especially as you get older, because you have other things to celebrate. There's kids that take the lead, and I just, I like giving a little moment for us to just enjoy the fact that we've got a special occasion on deck that day.
I know. I love that too. And it had me, I think you put this in just kind of the frame of the conversation about spending a bit of time on what's behind that sometimes. Like there are moments that are really hard and where we've learned lessons or maybe relearned lessons,
Mm.
certainly in my case. And I think like, the biggest things that were hard to get used to were, obviously, the patterns of income. You're not just waiting for your every 2 week little check to hit your account, or big check, right? Like you have some months that are incredible and then others that are literally zero. And last time I had $0 coming into my bank account on a regular basis, I don't know, it was
You were
maybe
still in high school.
14. Yeah, like illegal to work. And um it's been like, sort of in the beginning, it was jarring to get used to that. Like sometimes it looks one way and then it looks completely different. And then I think too, like early this year, there was a really strange effect in the job market. And this is maybe a little skewed to the staffing side of things, but as companies began to grapple with what does it mean to imagine the future workforce where there are humans and agents working together, and how do we plan for that, none of them knew the answer. And so the sort of knee-jerk reaction at that time, given some of the additional pressures economically or macroeconomically, were, let's actually just pump the brakes and we're just not going to do hiring, or we'll spend a
Yeah.
lot of time in hiring process and then pump the brakes at the end. And it wasn't just one client. This was happening across the marketplace. And so we had, I think, what, 4 people at offer, even offer accept, and they all fell through in the space of like 30 days. And it was crushing. I mean, like in my mind, I had been so excited about those and for the candidates that like in my mind it was done. But I'm reminded of some early coaching that I got in staffing of like, it is not closed until it is closed. And so I think that was a healthy lesson to be reminded of early on.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely can talk about it that way now. I remember at the time it being quite different.
I think I asked you if you thought I should sell my house, move into a van down by the river so we could keep grinding. And
But that's a good point. Like that was on your list before quitting.
yeah, it was.
Like that was just not an option. And I think something that I love that's become a bit of a catchphrase of ours is that we can fail, but we can't quit. Like we can fail. Like we'll try things, they won't all land, but like we cannot quit. We can't.
Mm-mm.
Um when those times cropped up for you, what kind of kept you going?
Just you.
Same.
Because I think like it's one, there's no way I could do this business by myself or any version of it, because
Same.
I think that when you get into really tough spots and you don't have somebody to lean on, it's so lonely and it can crush you. And in those moments where it's so hard, I can just call you immediately and we'll talk about it. And you know me so well to know that it's it's very little about just needing an ear and very much about like I need solutions and ideas right now so that I can redirect my thinking. And sometimes it's like I'm so beside myself with the situation that I just need you to lead me. It's like a take the wheel sort of situation. There have been a handful of times I remember just calling you and saying like, here's the situation. I need your help with the solution, and also I need you to tell me exactly what to do step by step, like for the next couple of steps. And yeah, I should know the answer, right? But like, I think sometimes because we're so personally invested in this and in the success, and you feel like there's a huge barrier in front of you, it can just be like a wall. And so, like having you to jump in and lead me through in those moments has been huge. I don't know what I would have done without it.
Same goes, like right back at you. If you're stuck on something, like we don't have time to ponder it, or let's go what would we do? Like, I'm just gonna go take a walk and just like think it through. No, I don't have time to be doing that. Like, I need a solution. And I like that we have the ability to like outsource to each other, like when it is
Yeah.
really needed. And there's no question, there's no like, why, what's going on? It's like, yeah, I know, I've been there. So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, this is how we'll get through this particular challenge.
And I think too, like it's been really important to remind ourselves of who we are even and the value that we bring. Because sometimes when you're in a tough situation, like it can start to beat down your confidence.
Yeah.
And having somebody that you can call to like pull it right back up to where it needs to be, it's critical in helping us show up as who we are and be the best at our craft that we can possibly be.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So let's think about how we've evolved,
Mm.
like, over time. So I remember when we first talked about talent delivery, the name was Startup Practice.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and I liked that a lot, but it just didn't seem to capture like the work. Like, you were delivering people for our clients, and talent delivery, I just like we just one day it just stuck, so like we never moved away from it. Um,
Hmm.
we obviously started out as a services business. We're now branching out into tech,
Hmm.
Tavi. Um, I think we've really learned who our client is, both from a metrics perspective and a philosophy perspective. Like, we know who we partner well with. Um, Obviously, the group of people that we work with now is phenomenal. It's not just the two of us. I think when Jenna joined, like, the three musketeers became like elevated up to the next level. Um,
Hmm.
Obviously, because you can't have three musketeers when there's just two people. But the point is that we we just became like a solid little group overnight. College besties. Okay, I gotta just do a quick interjection here. So I would say doing an doing an expo and a conference is probably one of the toughest things for naturally introverted people to do. It's very, very taxing because your social battery is just getting pulled on all day long. So here's a tip for those of you out there. Um, you can start just like having a little fun with how you got to know your coworkers, because despite the fact that I'm clearly not from this country, um, and I couldn't even tell you actually where Jenna went to college, but I did overhear her at one point saying like, "Yeah, we're all college friends, and we just decided to start this business." And I'm like, interesting. Apologize to whoever it was that was the story that they got. We're not like, sorry, it's breaking news. We did not go to college together. None of us are the same age. We didn't go to college in the same state. Some of us not even in the same country. So that's not true. But it was just a little light way of like relieving some of the exhaustion of saying the same thing 800 times. But yeah, now that's an ongoing joke with us, that we're all college besties.
BFFs. Yeah, I think it was at the end of the speed networking, which was just exhausting. And the choice to go explore that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon after
It
already
was bold.
interacting for 6+ hours, it was bold. It was the wrong choice. We know that now. But
Yeah. Because I had a
quite a
great
bit of fun.
time, but I went in the morning.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The morning I was 100% on. and smiling and probably dancing in the video we made, walking into the expo. And then
Yeah.
by the end of the day, I think Jenna and I walked up to you after that speed network and we're like, we got to go. It's time to wrap it up. There's no more.
Yeah. Actually, I think if we're being honest, the both of you simultaneously were like, "What time does this finish? I'm tired. I've had enough. Like I've said too much. I've been talking too much. Like this. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty." I'm like sounds like now. Sounds like now. And thankfully, we had the wonderful and lovely Nicole to wrap
Thank
up the day
goodness.
for us. Yeah, she
Yeah.
did such a fantastic job. But yeah, it's hard going. It's hard going, but a really fun experience, and the first time that we all got to hang out together as a trio, and we just had the best time in Chicago, and I really can't wait to see you guys in real life again
I know.
soon. um Client relationships, that's another one that we've evolved in. Our client base has obviously grown. We've got repeat customers now. We have people coming to us when they have a new project that they want us to work on. Do you remember when we got our first booking through the website?
Yes.
It was so
Yes.
exciting. And you'd been harassing me for months to put in like a different type of booking system on the website for people. And you were right. It works a lot better than the old one. So yeah. But just all those little things, all those little milestones, and they all add up to feeling really good. Just feeling like you are a trusted partner to the people that have paid you good money to deliver a service, and they were happy with it to the extent that they would like to engage you again. And I think that's a huge compliment.
No, same. And I love kicking off new engagements with new clients, but there's something really comforting about someone you know.
Yeah.
And, in the staffing space in particular, you start to know what great looks like for them and what it feels like. And it's just the cool. I know anybody with a recruiting background can appreciate you can get into a conversation with a prospect and like sometimes your client so well, like in the first 5 minutes if that person is
I'm
going to
gonna
be
love this
the
person.
one or not. Yeah, it's wild and it's fun. I love that part of it.
Yeah, me too. And then pretty early on, we decided to do a podcast. Actually, I think I had decided to do a podcast
Yes.
and announced it to the world. I always think of our friend Cara with that when I say that sentence. Travel ready, like
Yes.
you think of an
Yes.
idea, you announce it to the world, and then what if it doesn't work out? So what? So announce it to the world, and then I was like, just me talking, like feels a little awkward. Um, And then I think after you had joined, it was maybe a week or two later, I was like, do you want to like do the podcast with me? We could like rebrand it. And you were like, yes. Now that is your baby all the way. You have single-handedly got us on a great schedule. We record every week. You got us great guests. To the point that now we've had people consistently for the last 6 months applying to us to be on the podcast, so we never have to worry about guests. You have us on a great schedule, and Billy too on your team has us on a great schedule, getting to know the guests, recording, editing, pushing it out every Thursday. Sometimes we do an additional episode, to the extent that when you were doing a get to know you the other day, didn't somebody tell you that they like love the podcast and they listen all the time? And
Yeah, at first I thought they were like joking or pulling my leg, but they were being honest and serious. And I think the coolest thing, that what I'm thinking back to is earlier in the conversation when you said that, part of your kind of core value set is that things just have to be correct. And that sort of drives or informs like how you approach every piece of work in front of you. And I think that applying that value to something we had no clue how to do, like the podcast, like it took a couple of rotations to really kind of figure it out, and we iterated and iterated, but we did it fast. Like, I think inside of 30 days, we grew from I didn't know what the echo dial on my microphone was. And so one of the early episodes is like, sounds like I'm in a like indoor gymnasium or something, to sending media kits out to guests with reel shorts and quotable tiles and suggested repost copy, and getting feedback from people who've been on a number of podcasts to say that the experience, the materials that they received from us was the best that they've ever encountered. And I think it just goes to show, like, sometimes the how hard can it be thing is not a bad way to approach our work, but it follows with, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right, and it's going to be polished and buttoned up, and it's going to compete with the best of them out there.
Yeah, and it is. And you have just done a phenomenal job. Me and Jenna are like your little sidekicks.
I don't know
You're
about
the,
that.
you're the one that's on every single one. Me and Jenna, if we but I guess we just have, we have different schedules, and
Yeah.
but it just works out between the three of us. We're able to, cover all the conversations, and they're all so great. Not everybody gets to come on the podcast. But even the people that we meet that aren't quite right for the podcast, like, we still keep in touch with them. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
we're very founder forward around here. And I like that. I like that in all regards, whether we can help somebody a little bit with their branding, or help somebody a little bit with their hiring, or help somebody a little bit with visibility. We do that just naturally. And I like that about who we are as a company. And then most recently, just to kind of round off this section of, I guess we'd call this what we've actually done, um, is the start of Tavi Intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is our tool that is designed to create a cohesive employee picture, that you can understand, from a high level, the health of your organization, and then double click into areas that may require it, as well as receive HR advice that's based on your company policies, as well as our IP, so that people can have a real HR business partner there, giving them advice on the data that they're looking at, giving them suggestions, even prompting them to take action, so that we're really providing that people insight and support across all levels, whether you're an executive, whether you're in HR, or whether you're a people manager for the first time with a ton of questions. And for some reason, that's the population that corporate decided didn't need a business partner. We've, we've been, we've been reserving the business partners for the people that have been doing this forever. And those folks that are brand new to management, good luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the 1-day leadership training, and then best of luck. Yeah, no, I like couldn't be more excited about the build. And it's, just when I felt like I was getting really confident in the space and kind of who we are, identity wise, and how we run our business. It's like, this kind of has entered the chat as this whole new build that we've not done before. And so I wanted to pick your brain a little bit on that too, because I think, when you think about like the way that our team has grown, in the beginning, first 6-9 months, like anybody we added to our team was operational support. And so we didn't really have to share any of the directional, like, strategy or critical decision making. It was that was always just us, and anybody else on the team was supporting. And so, then as you mentioned earlier, Jenna joins, and then we built out our engineering team, and we're no longer, we've really brought in peers to help build this thing. Like, tell us a little bit about that as a founder, expanding that sort of bench and table for the first time at Strativis. How did that feel? How does it feel?
It feels, and this sounds way, it feels heavy, but not in a bad way. It feels heavy because it feels significant.
Yeah.
And I feel the responsibility when we bring others along to execute to the absolute best of my ability for those people, and to deliver an environment and the resources that everybody needs to be successful. Like that feels very important to me, as well as maintaining my place, contributing through the services business, and making sure that the business runs smoothly. Um, I want to make sure that people love coming to work here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want us to be having fun, because I think that translates into the work product. When people are happy, engaged, they're going to go the extra mile. They're going to feel connected to the work. And when that happens, the output is so much more impactful than when people are getting the minimum from their employer. But I mean, we've had to get creative. We are a bootstrap startup. So, I was mentioning earlier some of those little people that I wanted to have in my back pocket for when, things came up that were beyond my scope of experience. Um, I will tell you, dividing up the company in equity was a terrifying moment. I was
Mm.
like, because, business wise, I'm like, well, I'm giving away potential, so it's not a given. And so I want to be generous with that, because I want people to feel sticky against the work. But at the same time, you go from having your baby to now it's like, okay, it's our baby. But you have to be okay with that, because that's growth.
Yeah.
If I'd have wanted it to be just mine, it would be Amy Crook Consulting, and I would not be having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
That
You're right.
wasn't the goal. So I take the responsibility seriously. There's been moments that are scary and hard, but overwhelmingly, I just feel super proud and really grateful that somehow all the people that I work with on, the most critical components of this company's future are incredibly smart, incredibly thoughtful, incredibly hardworking. And just it feels wonderful to spend my time with those people, and I'm so grateful. What about for you? You've been on a similar. You've been here. I think there's like 2 weeks between when the company started and when you joined. Maybe a little more. Maybe. In my mind, it was like a day. Um, I think I started harassing you about it after 2 weeks. Or dropping hints. How are your interviews going? Bad? Ooh.
Bad, good.
And that's awful. Obviously, I would, if that would have been the right move for you, I would have been so happy for you. But I had also just recently been out on that market, so I was like,
You knew what
you
it
know,
was.
are you
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. No, I wasn't, is the answer. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think that, I've learned so much about myself and um about you, about our relationship. And I think the biggest thing that comes to mind, we did the kind of one word exercise earlier, but like the word that comes to mind when I think of you now, it used to be the words wicked smart, because I think you're probably the smartest person I've ever met. I thought that when I met you for the first time at Starbucks. I just remember
Erin's
sitting
only met
there.
10 people in her whole life.
I've met a lot more than 10. You know how many people I've hired in my life, Amy? Many. I've met a lot more. But no,
So I would doubt.
like that
Okay.
was your brand in my mind for most of the time that I've known you until the last year. But now the word that comes to mind is trust, because I feel like I have trusted you with my entire life and my livelihood. Like there's never been a point in my life where I've put so much trust in someone else. And you have to let certain things go, but there's, the trust isn't blind. Like it's earned every single day. I know that when I call, you're going to pick up the phone. When I need help, you've got ideas. And like we've just been shoulder to shoulder, like putting everything we have into this build. Like there's not been one moment where I've questioned the commitment from either one of us. And I think like that's the beating heart of Strativis for me, is that that foundation is just unshakable.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally with you. And we know it's unshakable um because we have been in some pretty shaky situations. Um I gotta tell a funny story about tax season, if you don't mind.
Do
Um,
it.
so I I had to be clear, I had the money. The transfer didn't go in time. However, I burst out laughing, and this is probably some form of insanity, when I opened my bank app, as I do rarely, and I was like, wow, I'm like $4,000 overdrawn. I'm like, wait, what? And that it never happened. And then I looked below it and I started laughing even more because in my savings account I had a whopping $100. And I was like, this is embarrassing. I'm going to send this to Erin. And then you sent me a screenshot of yours and you're like, I don't know what's worse. And I'm like, definitely mine. Definitely mine.
Well, what felt worse is that I was not overdrawn, but it was like a double digit number in my checking account at that moment. And like, to our point earlier, last time that happened, I was like, I don't know, 21, after taking my paycheck to go like, party and spend it on things I didn't
Shopping.
need. And yeah, right.
Mhm.
Like, as a real life grown up north of 30, like I'd never been there before. And um, it's wild. Like you just learn to let go of that because you're doing all the right things to get, to turn it around in short order, right? It's just, every once in a while you find yourself there.
Yeah, 100%. I guess, like, as we near the end of this conversation, and thanks very much to the people that stick around the whole time. I know we're doing a lot of chit chatting here, but hopefully it's interesting to hear a little bit about the two of us behind the work. And so, how do you think being an entrepreneur, this business has changed you over the last year?
I think the biggest thing for me is that I'm more comfortable in my own skin. In previous contexts, I felt like I was always seeking somebody's approval, usually a specific person, whether it was my direct leader or their leader. And I don't do that anymore. I care deeply about our clients and the relationships, but if one of them decides that I'm not the right fit for them or that they don't, they don't want to be a part of it, fine. I'm not losing sleep over it. And I think that has been an enormous just self-esteem and confidence boost for me.
That's
How about
awesome.
you?
Yeah, I think it's made me really dial in like my ambition, but also really get a balance that means that my full life is really, okay, the word that I'm looking for, I just feel, I don't want to say work-life balance because it's so dumb, but like that's kind of what I'm getting at. I just feel like I have a really good balance between, you know, my little things like scheduling out my day. I've got complete control over that. Um, almost. Obviously clients do uh
From time to time, yes.
take precedent. Um, but I have that agency over my own life. And that feels really good because let me tell you, I was so over business travel by the end of my stint in corporate. I I just hated it. I hated being away from home. I have, you know, a small zoo of animals. I have my husband. Uh, I hate the forced fun of it all. You
Mm.
know, like, oh, tonight we're going to go play fairground games together. And like, why? I just want to go home. Like, you guys are great and I love working with you, but I want to eat dinner with my family. You know?
Shocking.
So I love that I have agency over my life and career. But yeah, that ambition's dialed in. When I'm sat here and focused on Stratavis, I am focused and I have been able to like switch some of that seeing around corners capability that benefited the companies that I worked for such a long time into innovative thought processes for us. So now I get to be way more creative than I've ever had the chance to be because it's ours, you know? Like I don't have to follow anybody else's rules. Um, I don't have to take somebody else's crappy philosophy and wear it as my own. Like I I can build something that I can stand by and that makes me feel good.
Hmm. Yeah.
What do you think it's demanded from us personally though? Because I have to be honest, it's been tough those days where you know you're starting early and then maybe you've got meetings running through late, then you've got work that needs to be completed, then we're recording a podcast at 8 o'clock at night. You know, these are long days that like pull you away from your family, and and that's been hard. And I don't have little children, so I'm just wondering, like, has that felt like challenging for you?
Mm. I think like I mean, what this year has demanded of me is extreme resilience, extreme creativity, because the things that I've been rewarded for in the past in previous contexts only get me so far. And there are different types of problems that pop up that I hadn't necessarily encountered before exactly as they exactly as they appear. And so um, you have to rise to the occasion. And I feel like there's been a lot of rising to the occasion in the last year. But I I'd say I'm leaning heavier on my husband than I ever have um to step in and be default parent a lot of times. Like the daycare has his number first instead of mine because I'm on the phone all day. And he's been wonderful and believes in us and is like the first person in our corner. He's our like super fan on LinkedIn, liking all of our posts. He's even, joked with me like, when is he going to get his offer to join our brand promotion marketing team? And that's probably like the number one answer is like he's stepped in where I have had to extend, myself to make it happen on the Stratavis side, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, it's incredible just the change that you go through and how it impacts like most areas of your life. But I wouldn't change that change for anything. Like I it's hard sometimes. Of course, it was when you have like a regular corporate W2 job, there's certain guarantees and certain time frames that are acceptable. Here it's like everything we do was due yesterday. And so it's just a different pace, but it's actually a pace that I think you and I have always been pretty comfortable with. It's just now it's relentless, which
It
is probably
is.
why we're having so much fun, because there's no lull. There's no time for us to get bored and start cooking up dastardly plans. Um, so
It's true.
what would you say is the thing that you're most grateful for, like as you reflect on this year?
I would say just all the people who have been supportive, whether it's been in big ways like you and my husband Dan, or in little ways like people that interact with our posts. I know that sounds like so small, but we actually notice
Huge.
like almost like every time like we notice. And people that reach out and just want to have coffee. It's like, that's a lot of days that's part of my operating rhythm. I'm the one knocking down the doors of my industry colleagues and friends to make sure that we keep up the relationship. And so like when people are the one coming to me, it feels really good. And the people that are genuinely like excited for our success and cheering us on along the way, however big or small, that it feels great, and I'm so grateful for it. How about you?
Probably along similar lines, really grateful to my family. Bill has been a great support. My mom has been a real support. Um, and then working with you and Jenna is just a dream. Working with smart, credible, competent people is not as common in corporate America as it probably should be. But we have managed to create our own environment where everybody here is strong, everybody here is hardworking. I'm inspired by conversations that we have. I never feel like feedback that we give each other is mean spirited or designed to trip me up. Because there can be some of those little games
Oh
in
yeah.
companies too. And so we don't have any of that. In fact, when you go and look at things that I've put together, you don't even tell me what you've changed. You're just like, made a few edits. Oh, okay. And that's fine. That's just fine. Because we're not I trust you.
Yeah.
You're gonna have made it better. And I don't need to see what it was that you did. Just thank you for doing it. And I like that we have that kind of relationship and cadence with each other. So yeah, all the relationships, super grateful. Um, that's that goes for family, you guys, clients, friends, yeah, everybody who's been there along the way. So yeah, similar to you. So should we wrap it up with our biggest ambition for this next year? That feels like something we should be talking about.
Ooh, yes. Who goes first?
Why don't you take this one?
Okay. Um, my goodness. I mean, I've got big ambitions from a revenue perspective, like I have from the beginning. I remember you talking me down. You came to Raleigh and we did an offsite the week after I started. And I remember putting some wild numbers out there from a revenue perspective. I was being serious. And you had to kind of like walk me back of like, here's why that's not realistic. But I love the energy. So those numbers and more are on my board for year two. And we're actually positioned to meet them, which is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Um, I I just aspire to continue to build upon what we've built so far. I want at the end of year two for the existing client relationships that we have to still exist. And they may have changed. They may have become bigger or smaller. It's all a function of the maturity of the company and what they need. And that's all fine. But I want them to be positive. Like I want every client that works with us to feel great about the partnership that we have based on their needs. I want for our team to feel great about being a part of Strativis. I love the people we have in play. I hope that they're all still in play at this time next year, and maybe we'll have some new faces. I expect we will.
Yeah.
And so I just am really excited, you know, from a people and talent perspective to see how we all continue to grow and evolve. How about you?
Of the above, and just want everybody to get the opportunity to engage with Tavi and see how great
Yes.
it is, and just really excited to get that launched into beta with our beta clients, and continue to create and build this fantastic product that's going to really change the game for organizational effectiveness, I think.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's crazy to watch what was just an idea a few months ago become a living, breathing product
I
today,
know.
that is getting close to ready for beta. So I couldn't be more excited too, and I think we're going to blink and it's going to become something huge.
A real thing. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for an incredible year, Erin. And I'm super pumped for year two, and couldn't be prouder to work with you. And I always said when you left me at America's favorite credit bureau that we would work together again. I didn't fully appreciate that we'd have to start our own company to make it happen, but we're very determined people.
We made it happen. We're
Yeah,
making it happen every
make
single
it
day. I
happen.
could not be happier to be here. Thank you for having me, for believing in me, and
Always.
yeah, I just believe in us, to the end of the earth, probably to a fault.
We can fail, we just can't quit.
We can't quit. Well,
All right, you
cheers to
enjoy the
one
rest of
year.
your Saturday. Yeah, cheers to a year.